This happened to me. I didn't cause this. I didn't do it. This happened to me, and it can happen to anybody.
Rihanna just gave birth to her third baby, and guess what? Sis isn't resting. She's out here dropping bombshells about Beyonce. Allegedly, Bey's name is now being dragged into Diddy's twisted world, and some say she's been covering up shady behavior and even joining in on those wild freak-off parties. People been wondering for years why Rihanna and Beyonce never worked together, even though they were both tight with Jay-Z. Well, it looks like we finally got some answers. Rihanna once called Beyonce her ultimate inspiration, but now she's acting like Bey doesn't even exist. Total shade. And here's where things get real messy. Not only did Rihanna reportedly have to deal with Jay-Z making some serious moves on her, allegedly even cornering her in his office back when she was just 17, but now there are claims that Beyonce tried to pull her into Diddy's nasty after-hours setups too. Like what? Sources say Rihanna tried to open up to Beyonce when she was dealing with Jay's alleged behavior, thinking she'd find a sisterly shoulder to lean on. But nope, she quickly realized Beyonce wasn't the girls supporting girls type that she pretends to be in public. Folks finally realized just how tight Beyonce and Diddy really were when Freddie P, yeah, the same Freddie from that old MTV show Making Da Band, spilled some long-buried tea.
In fact, a lot of people don't know that cheesecake we went and got was for Beyonce. She was upstairs the whole time. What we was talking about again? Hold on. Yeah, that's a fun fact. People don't know. People like, y'all walked together cheesecake. It was for Beyonce. I'm the type of nigga. I listen to everything you say as if it's a contract. So if you say, walk to the store, or walk to get me some cheesecake, I'll walk to get you some cheesecake, but I'm not walking back. And that's just what me and Darlon did. And they like, why y'all, you know, they hot. Like, y'all cheating. And we like, he told us to walk. He didn't tell us to walk back. So we already in the hotel like 3 hours before they got there. When they said they was coming, we went and met him in front of the building. And you know the first thing that nigga said out of his mouth? He said, we got the cheesecake. He was like, oh, I want that shit. Take that shit upstairs for Beyonce. Then he said, they was like, yeah, man, we want to tell you, Fred and Darlon, they ain't walk back. You know, trying to be on some snitching shit. He's like, I ain't tell you niggas to walk back.
Remember that infamous moment when Diddy made the group walk 4 hours across New York just to grab a slice of cheesecake? Everybody was laughing back then, thinking it was just Diddy being dramatic. But turns out the cheesecake wasn't even for him. According to Freddie, that ridiculous mission wasn't Diddy's idea at all. He claims Beyonce was the one who told Diddy to make the group walk, not take a car. Yup, Beyonce allegedly sat back and watched them trek across the city, all for a slice from the Cheesecake Factory. Talk about twisted. Nobody remembers exactly what part of New York they were in, but walking to downtown and back took them hours. And all to impress Beyonce? That right there was one of the first signs something was off with Diddy's power games. But everyone brushed it off because the scene was played for laughs.
Beyonce, I was at a party at Diddy crib in LA. This was the beginning of 2020. You know what I mean? Diddy had put everybody else out the crib, like the influx of people he had put them out. But he had took a liking to me in particular around the time, man. It was really, you know what I mean, like putting his arm around me.
Right.
So he had put majority of the people out, but he allowed me to stay in there. Mm-hmm. Me and, you know, maybe about 15 others, you know,
right.
Jay-Z and Beyonce being, you know, two of the other 15 people in the room. So that'll just put into perspective of the type of company I was in
right.
at the moment, you know. And she came over and introduced herself to me like as if she had to.
Right.
Beyonce, cut it out. But I'm a big fan of your work, you know what I'm saying? Whoop the whoop, and that was just dope. That was dope as hell to me, man. That was dope.
Now, years later in a fresh interview, Freddie P exposed the truth. The cheesecake was for Beyonce. All this time we thought Diddy made those boys from Making Da Band walk across New York just to flex his power. But nope, turns out it was Beyonce who allegedly kicked off that whole wild situation. Word is, she was the one craving that cheesecake, but instead of having someone from her own crew grab it, she sat back and let Diddy humiliate those young guys on national TV, just to satisfy her sweet tooth. You'd think she'd feel some type of way seeing those boys walking for hours like that, exhausted, humiliated, being clowned across the country. But according to Freddie P, Beyonce didn't flinch. She just enjoyed that cheesecake like nothing happened. No shame, no regret, just vibes and cake.
What he is a broke-down Mandingo fighter still working on behalf of the NFL. That's what he is. period. You want to know what else I also find funny? That he did that interview with the baby person who sat there and told him about when he met Beyonce. Y'all remember that? That happened on Shay Shack. And he talked about how he was at the Diddy party at Diddy's house. And how after, the festivities were winding down and it was getting later into the middle of the night, approaching 3 a.m., Diddy got rid of almost everybody, but he let the baby stay behind with him and his close friends. And then he talked about how Beyonce was there and Jay-Z was there. Not at their house, at Diddy's house. And how Beyonce presented herself to him, and she didn't have to do that because he knew who she was and he couldn't believe she was talking to him. But she approached him, kind of like how she approached that old friend of his when he said that he was at the party and the little people was there, and she asked him, "Isn't this sexy?" My. How illuminating. There's been a lot of freaking off going on for a long time. Why does everybody keep... Let me tell you this. Beyonce, Giselle knows Carter. It does not matter how much money they spend, how many people, those tickets ain't gonna sell. You're caught. I wish you had the common sense that animals do when they're caught. They just surrender. But no, y'all gonna fight it to the very end. Y'all gonna bring this broke down old NFL bum who apparently will do anything with his genitals to help cover or create validity where there is none with the weirdos with his little orange purse, screwing people's kids, screwing kids young enough to be his grandchildren. Shit, you a dirty old man, period.
And here's where it gets even crazier. People started asking, why would Diddy go to such lengths just to please Beyonce? They weren't doing business together publicly, and outside of her being married to his associate Jay-Z, they didn't seem that connected. But hold up, according to what Deb Antony spilled not too long ago, Beyonce was allegedly involved in those infamous freak-offs too. There's a wild story floating around about the time Beyonce and Jay-Z showed up at a private party at Diddy's house. And what allegedly went down behind those closed doors is straight up disturbing. Someone who was there claimed Diddy kicked everybody out the room, leaving just him, Beyonce, Jay, and Diddy. And what happened next? Beyonce supposedly walked up to him and started chatting like they were old friends.
Yeah, she actually wrote me this cute little letter, and she signed it with her autograph. It was so cute. When I first met her, and she wrote, she was telling me, just let loose when you perform and just have fun and be in control.
Now let's be real. Why is Beyonce out here introducing herself like she's not one of the most famous women on the planet? According to Jaguar Wright, that was all part of the setup. She says this was a freak-off recruitment mission, and Beyonce was trying to seduce that man into giving her a taste of that street-certified energy. Because allegedly, Jay wasn't doing the job no more now that he's getting older.
Bow down B over and over from the woman who preaches empowering women is a bit unsettling to some.
I just feel like it's kind of, it's hard to swallow. Just very hard to swallow, having seen her in a different light.
I don't like it. I don't think it's her. I don't think it goes to what she represents.
I love Beyonce, but I honestly think that Jay-Z's putting thoughts in her head.
You're on a Pepsi can, for goodness sakes, to tell B words to bow down. And then you're saying girls run the world.
But here's the part that hits hard. Rumor is Jay and Beyonce also tried to pull Rihanna into that same twisted lifestyle. Sources claim they tried to lure her into one of those freaky setups, but Rihanna wasn't having it. When she refused, they allegedly turned on her. Word is, they leaked her album and sabotaged her rollout with T.I., all to send a message. That's when Rihanna realized the industry wasn't safe and decided to step back for good. A lot of folks believe this is the real reason Rihanna's been dodging the music scene, because she knows exactly what she went through behind closed doors and wants no part of that mess again. And why would she? She's already a billionaire off Fenty, living her best life without needing to deal with any shady industry games ever again.
The reason I put out Bow Down is because I woke up, I went into the studio, I had a chant in my head. It was aggressive, it was angry. It wasn't the Beyonce that wakes up every morning. It was the Beyonce that was angry. It was the Beyonce that felt the need to defend herself. And if the song never comes out, okay, I said it. And I listened to it after I finished, and I said, this is hot. I'm gonna put it out. I'm not gonna sell it. I'm gonna just put it out. People like it, great. They don't. And I won't do it every day because that's not who I am, but I feel strong. And anyone that says, oh, that is disrespectful, just imagine a person that hates you. Imagine a person that doesn't believe in you, and look in the mirror and say, bow down, bitch. And I guarantee you feel gangster. So listen to that song from that point of view, again, if you didn't like it before.
Now for some context. Rihanna actually used to idolize Beyonce. She once called her the biggest inspiration in her life. But as Rihanna started blowing up and getting major mainstream attention, things shifted. The closer she got to Beyonce, the more that admiration faded into distance and eventually into tension. Things really started going left when Beyonce dropped her track Bow Down. People were shook when she threw shots at women in the same breath she once hyped them up. Like how you go from who run the world, girls, to telling those same girls to bow down and calling them the B word. It didn't sit right with fans, and especially not with Rihanna. And instead of owning up to it or making peace, Beyonce allegedly got defensive and straight up refused to apologize. Rihanna wasn't about to stay quiet after Beyonce threw that slick jab. She jumped on Twitter and clapped back with serious heat. She posted an article that crowned her the Queen of Pop in the UK and added the caption, I only know how to be number one. I could use a challenge. How that feel down there on your knees? Whew, that shot had the internet in a chokehold. A lot of people believe Beyonce's real beef with Rihanna started when whispers hit the streets that Jay-Z might have been getting a little too close to Riri. But now, with everything coming to light, some folks think the real reason Beyonce had it out for Rihanna is deeper. Like the fact that Rihanna refused to take part in those alleged freak-offs with her and Diddy.
So tell me about your audition with Jay-Z. Tell me what he said to you.
A really good audition.
Yes.
But before I met him, I was so nervous. I was shaking literally. But the moment I walked into the office, the atmosphere was so warm and welcoming.
And you had to sing a cappella for him?
Yes, I had to sing. I sang Fun to Replay. I sang another ballad from the album last time.
So then what did he say to you? He said something to you.
Oh yes, he said, we don't sing songs here, we sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief.
But then he said something about a window and a door or something.
Oh, then he said, he did it homework.
I did a lot of homework on you, this lady.
He said, there are two ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal sign or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor.
So you was like, where's the pen? Where's the paper? I'm signing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure working with Jay-Z, you met Beyonce.
That's right.
How was it like meeting her?
I could not speak.
Really?
Really. That's someone I really looked up to for a long time. And it was after one of my showcases, and he was introducing me to everyone from the label. Then he finally said, okay, one more person. And there she was. And I could not speak.
And she gave you some advice.
Yes, she did. She just told me to, when I get on stage, let loose, have fun, and be in control.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to let it go.
No.
Because she'd be like, what? You know how she does it.
And here's the twist. If you didn't already know, it was actually Rihanna's own publicist who started the cheating rumor between her and Jay-Z. Later, they confessed it was a made-up PR move meant to boost her breakout single Pawn to Replay. The publicist admitted, it was reckless. I didn't think it was going to work. I was just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what would stick. Plenty of people weren't buying that PR stunt excuse, especially after Rihanna allegedly confessed that Jay-Z essayed her during a private meeting in his office. She claimed that on the very day she got signed, Jay locked her in his office for hours, refusing to let her leave until she signed that contract. But here's the chilling part. Rumors say he might have done way more than just pressure her into a deal. Let's not forget, Rihanna was still underage at the time. And remember those whispers about Beyonce and Jay-Z allegedly trying to sabotage Rihanna after she turned down their freak-off invite with Diddy? Well, things get even messier. Rihanna's Anti album got mysteriously leaked on Tidal, the very platform owned by none other than Beyonce and Jay-Z. That leak forced her to drop the album early, totally throwing off her rollout plans. And guess what? At that same time, Beyonce was getting ready to launch her own album. While Auntie struggled and sold just 124,000 copies in its first week, Beyoncé's Lemonade came swinging out the gate with 653,000 sold. The drama between Rihanna and Beyonce got so real that they couldn't even fake it in public anymore. At the title press conference, insiders say the tension was palpable. According to a source who spilled to Naughty Gossip, these two refused to stand next to each other or even exchange words. The whole event had to be carefully staged just to keep them apart. It was that serious. Now, whether Rihanna's gonna end up taking the stand with all this bombshell info, we don't know yet. But let's be honest, it's not looking good for Beyonce right now. People are connecting dots, digging up receipts, and realizing that a whole lot might have been going on behind the scenes. One person online said, "The fact that Rihanna and Beyonce have never dropped a song together, that says everything." Another added, "Come on now, Beyonce knows how Jay moves. She knows her man likes them young. Jay definitely messed with Rihanna." And now with Rihanna allegedly exposing Beyonce's ties to Diddy and those twisted freak-offs, this whole situation just keeps getting darker. But now it's your turn. What do you think about all this? Was Beyonce really involved in that mess with Diddy too? And is the lack of a collab between her and Rihanna the biggest red flag? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe for the next jaw-dropping update, and make sure to share this video with someone who needs the tea. See you on the next one.